Now, I will grant you at times that as a wrestling fan, I say some dumb things. I will also say that there are numerous times when I hear other wrestling fans say some incredibly ridiculously dumb and stupid things. But beyond question to me, the people that say some of the dumbest, most idiotic, stupidest things that could ever be possibly imagined are wrestlers and people actually inside of the wrestling business. It's astounding how disconnected the wrestling world is sometimes from the real world and how arrogant they are in their approach to anything and everything pertaining to the wrestling business and to wrestling fans. You could say it's a unique art form because it is, but even if it's its own unique art form, it does, no matter what the people in the business try to tell you, it does share a lot of common traits and characteristics with other forms of entertainment. And this is an argument we use to talk about the fact that, people, when they knock wrestling, they say, oh, pro wrestling's fake. Well, so is all the reality television that you knuckleheads watch. So are all the TV shows that you watch and the movies that you watch and so on and so forth. I mean, they're fake. They're scripted. They're a work. Not any different from professional wrestling. But this kind of standard has to apply both ways. You can't just apply when it's convenient for you. And I find it incredible that so many people in the professional wrestling business, even here and now in 2014, carry such a negative attitude towards those that are outside of the business because they're not inside. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand what goes on. They just don't get it. And apparently, the people that are saying this are actually the ones that don't get it, that don't understand it, which is a real crying shame because they should. They should understand. They should get it. But they clearly don't. I mean, it's astounding to me when I see this. And one of the most ridiculous things that people inside of the professional wrestling business say is that, well, you've never been a professional wrestler. You've never been in the ring. You've never worked in the business. You don't get it. You really don't know what good wrestling is. What a ridiculously idiotic notion that truly is. I'll give you a bunch of examples that just kind of illustrate how stupid and moronic this attitude is from people coming inside of the professional wrestling business to us, the fans. When you go to a restaurant, let's say you go to a steakhouse, do you have to be a 5-star chef, or do you have to know how to make a really good steak yourself to know whether or not that steak that you just plunked 20 or more bucks down for was any damn good or not? Do you have to be able to actually make that steak yourself to know whether or not it was any damn good? Do you need to know all the inner workings of how that steak was prepared, how it went from being a cow to being butchered in the slaughterhouse, to getting processed, to coming to the restaurant, to how it was grilled or fried or whatever the fuck? Do you need to know that to know whether or not the steak is any damn good? No, you don't. What a ridiculous notion. It truly is. You go to movies. Everybody's watched a movie at some point in time. Do you need to know everything about that movie, everything that came to be in terms of how the piece was produced and directed, the script and how it was written, how everybody was cast? Do you need to know that in order to know whether or not a movie is any damn good or not? Do you need to be a professional scriptwriter to know whether or not a story is good or not? No, you don't. Do you need to be a professional scriptwriter in order to know whether or not there are gaping logic and plot holes in a movie or a television show? No, the hell you don't. Do you have to be a professionally trained actor to know whether somebody can actually act or not? No, the hell you don't. Do you need to have written an Oscar-winning movie or an Oscar-nominated movie to know whether or not a damn movie is any good or not? No, the hell you don't. For sports fans, do you need to have played in the NFL for 10, 12, 15 years or played quarterback in high school and college and semi-pro and some in the NFL to know the difference between a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers compared to somebody like a Jay Cutler or a Tony Romo or an Andy Dalton? No, the hell you don't. You don't need to understand all the inner workings of what goes into the preparation on a day-to-day basis. When you see the result is what tells you what is really going on. Here's another thing for professional wrestling. Let me ask these people in the business that think they know everything that apparently really don't because they seem to be the biggest idiots of all. You look at people when it comes to politics. Everybody has an opinion. Opinions are like assholes, like Mr. Rout always says. Everybody's got one. And when it comes to politics, damn sure everybody's got one in some way, shape, or form. But most people will never sniff any type of political position at all, especially when it comes to Washington. They have no clear understanding of the inner workings of how politics really works. They have no real understanding of how policies are made. They have no real understanding of any damn thing from any level of the executive, judicial, or legislative branch. But yet everybody's got an opinion, and everybody thinks they know what is the right thing to do, and they think they know what's bad, and so on and so forth. There are many people over the years that have made a career in industry for themselves and others by sitting there and talking about these things. The Fox Newses of the world, the MSNBCs of the world, the people like the Rush Limbaughs, the Bill O'Reillys, the Sean Hannitys. Have they been congressmen? Have they been senators? Have they been president of the United States? Have they? But it still doesn't stop millions of people from watching their television shows and listening to them on the radio. And it doesn't stop sponsors from plunking their money into these damn shows for these people that on the outside looking in would, in theory, according to professional wrestling business logic, would have no clue of how anything damn works. It's just truly ridiculous. Now, a lot of times you'll see people in the professional wrestling business shit all over the dirt sheets. And while I understand it, while I get it, here's my question. How are you going to shit on something when you're the assholes that are providing the inside information? When you're the ones spilling the beans? When you're the ones giving away the secrets? When you're the ones spoiling things? How does that make any damn sense? You're getting mad at the very thing that you feed into. You're getting upset about a culture that you helped create. You know, all these people, I think, in the business that are still mad to this day, maybe that the business got exposed and so on and so forth. People knew this shit was work, it was scripted, it was fake, whatever you want to call it, since the damn 30s, if not before that. It's not a new phenomenon. But then you've got all these people in the wrestling business that get mad when somebody like me comes on here and uses terms like heels and baby faces and work rate and so on and so forth. I know Ric Flair said that about internet smarks before. Well, listen here, Rick. Where did we get those babyface and heel terms from? Where did we get the phrase of heel turn and getting heat and all this other crap? It came from people inside of the professional wrestling business that were getting paid to do shoot interviews to help expose the business. So don't get mad at the fans for using the terms that you helped educate them on, and that includes Ric Flair. Why do so many fans come on here today and talk about work rate and use star ratings for matches and so on and so forth? It's because people like Ric Flair in shoot interviews talk about this guy wasn't a good worker, I was a great worker, I was the best worker, I made everybody look good, I could make everybody look like a world champion. You're the one that contributed to the damn problem. And the funniest thing of all, you would think in the professional wrestling business, where first and foremost, your number one priority is to get yourself as over as you possibly can, to make as much money as you possibly can. Does it really matter if you have a 5-star match or a 1-star match? To me, the 5-star match would be the match that makes the most damn money. That would be to me. From a businessman's standpoint, that would seem to make the most sense. Now, do I, as a professional wrestling fan, have to sit there and been a member of, let's say, WWE's creative team, or have worked up the developmental system to make it to WWE as a wrestler, or work backstage in production, or be a Vince McMahon or a Linda McMahon, to know when I'm getting something good or when I'm getting something shitty? No, the fuck I don't. Here's a newsflash for some fans who apparently suck up to this idiotic wrestling business logic because they think that, oh my God, they're going to like me because I'm different. No, they don't care. The people in the wrestling business think you're just as stupid as somebody like me, if not even more idiotic, because you go along with the drivel and crap that they spit out. This is entirely stupid on so many different levels. So let's get this straight. People in the wrestling business shit on the dirt sheets that they feed with information. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. They hate professional wrestling fans who sit there and use terms like heels and baby faces and work rates and talk about backstage politics and all of this. Who's put a lot of that information out there? Who's educated the fans in that way? Who are the real fucking marks here? I mean, seriously. So you can sit there and criticize a movie all day long without ever having been an actor, a director, a producer, a screenplay creator, a script writer, none of that. You don't have to understand all the behind-the-scenes working to criticize a movie, critique a movie, or praise a movie, do you? People like Siskel and Ebert and Roper have made a fortune over the years doing that type of crap. But of course, using professional wrestling business logic, you just can't have that. To me, what it comes down to is that people in the professional wrestling business think that their business is so unique to any other business out there in the free world. And it isn't. You have some unique characteristics, yes, but fundamentally, it is still a business. And newsflash, dipshits, you see this in every other line of business in the world. Customers who think they maybe know more than they really do, but they can still come up with their own logical conclusions without having to know all the inner workings of how something works. Do you have to know how an iPhone is constructed to know whether or not you like the product? Do you have to know how a computer is constructed in order to know whether or not you like the product or whether or not the product is any damn good? I just can't believe that in 2014, people in the professional wrestling business are still clinging to this attitude. It's prevalent. Oh, we're better than you because we're in the business because we know. Did you ever think that it's the people like you, the people in the professional wrestling business, that have helped create the state of the professional wrestling business today that should be ashamed of themselves, not proud of themselves, that should feel bad, really bad, and feel like shit? They should not feel any pride. They should not feel any sense of accomplishment because you've helped kill the business. I'm not the one sitting out there going to an indie show in front of 25 people and the first match has flaming tables and people doing moonsaults and all other types of shit. Is that me or is that the people in the business? Do I need to sit there and understand how everything works on the inside to know whether or not something is good or not? Do I need to understand how every single backstage creative meeting goes into WWE or TNA goes to sit there and not be able to draw my own conclusions of, hey, this guy always wins, this guy always wins, this guy always wins, this guy always wins, these guys get buried, these guys get pushed all the time. Gee, I wonder why that is. No, anybody with a simple amount of brain matter inside of their fucking heads can figure that out. It's just astounding. The hypocrisy and the stupidity and the idiocracy, as I would call it, that comes from the people inside the professional wrestling business. Obviously not all, but a lot, yes. And especially the people that have made it big. You don't have to be a professional wrestler or work inside of the professional wrestling business to know good wrestling or not. Do I need to sit there and have worked in the ring for 10 years to know that Khali can't wrestle, but yet I understand that he appeals to a demographic of fans, so as a result, you feature him? Do I need to work inside of the business to fucking understand that? No, I don't. Do I need to work inside of the business to understand that if every single wrestler wrestles the same, looks the same, acts the same, talks the same, walks the same, that eventually that is going to diminish your product? No, because it's just like any other damn business. If you don't have variety, if you don't provide options, and if you don't provide something for everyone, eventually you start to whittle away and lose some of your audience. Just like with being a sports fan, you don't need to know all the inner workings to know whether somebody's good or not, whether somebody's good at their job or not, whether the team is going to be successful or not. You don't. You don't have to sit there and work in the movie business to know whether a movie's any damn good or not. You don't have to sit there and write a book yourself to know whether or not a book is a good read or not. But somehow along the way, professional wrestling people have created this culture and this mindset where that's exactly what you have to do. That applies in no other aspect of the real fucking world. Again, it's all about being in that wrestling bubble and thinking arrogantly that the wrestling business is so completely different than anything else out there. At the end of the day, it's still a business, it's still about making money, and you still have paying customers like me. In my job, I deal with customers all the time that to me sound like they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But you do have those people that do know what they're talking about. Do they have to have worked in the car business or know how to assemble a damn car to be able to know what they're talking about? No, the hell they don't. And it's about high time that people inside of the professional wrestling business wisen up and smarten up and stop getting on the fans. You don't have to wrestle to know good wrestling, period. And I defy any wrestler or person inside of the business to debate this with me. Please, please, I'm begging you.